nice things, right? And I'm calling them nice because when a question was framed in GATE 2018 relating to something like that, a question was framed in GATE 2020 relating to something like that, not a lot of people could solve it. Almost 70% of the students, that's still, I'm being liberal, a lot of people could not answer some questions like that because we are tending to study a lot of petroleum-ish kind of things and we are trying to forget the physics part of science. So it's my effort and it's our thought to just let the physics get connected because GATE 2020 gave us a little bit of feeling that physics is important, right? So in the last lecture, if you remember, we calculated for laminar flow, we calculated, I hope you just checked on the correction that I gave on with the video. The delta P due to friction for something like this of a pipe, delta P is applied across it. The delta P due to friction, the frictional pressure drop when a viscous fluid, when a laminar flow occurs through this particular medium, it was given by 32 mu VL upon d square, right? Or in other words, it was given as 2FF, which is Fanning's friction factor, rho L V square by d, right? And this V square should not be confused with because in FF for laminar flow, it is N16 by NRE, and NRE has embedded velocity terms, 1 by velocity term or velocity term in this entire friction factor term. So 1 by V multiplied by V square will eventually give out this formula, okay? So some people go this way, some people go this way. So today we will see another approach to again revise this formula, another way to derive this formula, as well as we will be looking at the structural aspects of permeability, which is a heading which I thought would be right because this is how we will be looking at how permeability depends upon the rock parameters, right? We will be introducing things like the hydraulic radius, which is called hydraulic radius, which is nothing but just to give you a feel. If you have a pipe and not the entire of the pipe is wetted by the flowing fluid, okay, let's imagine like that. Some part of the pipe is such that the flowing fluid would not be touching that part, okay? So it's unfair to assume that the calculations would take the entire radius. You should not, because it should be taking radius corresponding to only the wetting parameter, right? If this much is the wetting parameter, so this much, almost this much kind of gives you the flow range of the fluid, okay? Just my intuition behind how I think hydraulic radius might have come into the picture, right? So when you'll understand the definition, and I'll give you the definition, you'll see that hydraulic radius is a function of the wetting surface area of the entire conduit. So it's basically the flow property, something like that. Because we feel as reservoir engineers and as students of physics, we feel that we should not just taking R for entire flow rate is overestimation. We are being too liberal because not the entire cross-sectional area, not the entire radius belongs to the flow, okay? So this is some kind of reason for which RH might have come in picture. If you find some better reasons in literature, that's good for you, right? So today we will reach out to a formula for permeability. When we say structural aspects of permeability, we'll be finding a relation of permeability as a function of various rock parameters, namely the porosity, the specific surface, or the specific surface with respect to the pore volume, which we will describe everything. I'm just giving you a glimpse of what we are going to discuss today, right? And the shear stress, okay, because this is also important when you are considering all the friction things and all the flow things in porous media. Friction and shear play an important role because it's not huge, the pipeline is not huge. The chances of fluid facing a shear is very large. So permeability will be affected by the shear that the fluid experiences by the walls of the conduit. So these are a few parameters using which we will derive our permeability, right? And that's why we call it the structural aspects of permeability, because all these phenomena we have not looked at so far. Although in the last lecture I denoted this sigma or the shear stress as tau as sigma, so don't get confused. Just now I'll be referring it to the actual common notation, which is tau, right? So the formula that I'll be covering today is something like this: K equals to C phi cube by tau SP square. Okay, right now even I don't know what they mean, but we will discover what every term in this formula means, right? And you can see that porosity and permeability are directly proportional, like they should be, and this is the formula that we will be deriving for today. But for this we need to understand a few. Okay, so I just made a little error. This tau, although I will be using somewhere the tau for the shear stress, but this tau is actually tortuosity. Okay, tortuosity, because a lot of common notations. So I will use tau for, let's fix it now. Tau, when I'll use it for tortuosity, and sigma I'll use for shear stress. Okay, so it starts with T, so it's for tortuosity. Sigma starts with S, so it's for shear stress. You can have your own notations, not a big issue, right? So let's move forward. So this is what we are going to discuss, and just to explain what tortuosity is nothing but fluid will never flow like a straight line in the rock surface, right? Fluid will always flow like this, right? So for moving from point A to B, if the actual path length is L and the straight path length from A to B is LST, more of displacement, then tortuosity is a measure of how deviated from the actual straight line path the flow path is. So it's basically L upon L straight. So just keep in mind what tortuosity means. Okay, it's a measure of how zigzag kind of connection the pore throats have, right? So it is the basic deviation from the absolute straight pipeline assumption that we take. But don't worry, we can use this assumption, and then we can use, since this is L and we are assuming this is L straight, and since we are assuming L, so what we have to do is we will derive the formula and replace this L straight by L by tau, something like that, right? So we have this formula at our disposal to make sure we can apply the compensation for whenever the path length deviates from the straight line path, right? So and also in this formula, the C is a constant which depends upon the shape of the container. Okay, I'm just giving you a slight insight already so that you have enough tools and you don't get confused as I derive. So you'll be very happy when you will find out that the formula, the strange formula that you are looking at right now, by the end of this video, this will be very clear in your head, and you will be able to solve a very important question for GATE 2020, right? So the shape, so if I give you the values of C for different shapes, is dependent upon shape. Okay, depends on shape. It is a constant for a given shape. So for let me give you the values of shape C for different shapes, right? Shapes. So if my cross section is circular, C is 0.5, right? When my cross section is square, C is what? 0.561. And when my cross section is triangular, equilateral, let's assume triangular, the C value is 0.5974. Okay, so these are the values. Just note them in your notes, and let me check if this formula was fine, because I always tend to forget the formulas. Yeah, 32, yeah, fine, yeah, great, right. So let's go forward and keep on developing the fundamentals. Okay. I'll be catching up the speed for the course, which you might have observed, and slowly we'll be getting to the interesting things. But make sure whatever I'm telling you, just never forget those things. I'm touching the very crunch topics that actually is asked in interviews as well as GATE, right? Based on my interactions with a lot of people. So